Now that we've done the head, the waist, and our spine, we're going to move on to the final, or one of the final steps here is the arms. There's an issue with the arms, actually, if I jump in here and to where, and I'll open this up where we split the arms out. Let me see. It's kind of hard to tell. If I put down a clip and then put down a pack, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, now that we have one side separated or isolated and packed, I'm going to transfer the attributes. So now we're going to check out our names. So if we look down here at the names of our pack geo, we can actually see that they're actually named incorrectly. So this is the left side, right? But there's actually a bunch of R's in here. So when the robot was named, right, when all the pieces were being named, some of the names were incorrect. So before we do any joint creation or skinning, I'm going to have to go in and correct all of the naming conventions. So I'm going to want to work on each side individually. So I'm going to put down a clip, put it in the X direction. This will be our left side over here. Do another clip. This will be our right side. I'm going to put down an attribute wrangle. And what I'm going to use is called the replace function. So the way replace works is that you need 3 different strings. So 1, 2, 3. So I need to supply 3 different strings. So let's say we want the original name. I'm going to say string. This is the name. This is the string that we're going to want to look for, right? So we're on the right side. So we're going to look for L. So string bad is L, and then string good is going to be R. So now we're going to say name is equal to replace, and we're going to take our name, which is the Ori, and we're going to take the bad, which is the L, and we're going to replace it with the good. So now if we put down another pack and check our names down here, now the names aren't replaced, and that's because I think I need to get rid of this underscore, because the token I'm looking for is actually at the end of the string. Right, and I also need to make sure that we're running over the primitives and not the points. Okay, so that is named correctly. So let's, well, not the pack, I want the attribute wrangle. So I'm going to copy this attribute wrangle and just throw it over here. And let's replace this with R and L. Boom. Let's grab that pack, double check, and everything is looking good. Okay. So these are all set. Let's go ahead and merge these together because these are going to be what I'm going to skin together. So in order to get my joints, I'm just going to do it on one side. So I'm going to start on the right side and I'm going to start separating these things out. But this is going to get a little heavy. So I'm going to throw this into a subnet and just do it all within a subnet to keep this a little bit more organized. Let's call this get arm joints. Jump in. All right, let's start separating everything. So let's grab this guy, split that, and let's actually go by name. So let's hit select, and let's go by group, actually. Okay, so we'll select that. So now we're selecting the group. Jump back up here, select, I believe it's this one. Oops. Try that again, split. Okay, connect that into there. So we have this. Okay, and then this right here. Split. All right, there we go. So the way this middle joint actually is going to work is we actually need to just manually go in and grab these 2 faces and then extract the centroid between those 2 faces. And that'll give us our center point. So we can delete that. I'm going to put down another null so I don't have to disconnect and reconnect everything else. Let's press S for selection. Let's get rid of the group selection and just select these 2 faces here. Split. There we go. So now let's put down a few extract centroids. Okay. And let's see, how is our naming convention? Okay, so cool. We have the arm connect ball, arm elbow rotate R, and arm wrist pivot. Perfect. So we can go ahead and merge those. So right on top of the wrist pivot, I want 2 more joints that'll serve as the pivot points for our little hooks here. All right. And then those are just going to sit directly on top of our wrist pivot. So we'll go here. And if I just throw down a couple of names and simply rename these, I'm going to call this hook A. Well, actually, let's do one other thing here. Let's actually check the name of this. So I'm going to throw down one more null really quick. And let's go to our group selection, split. All right, let me look at the name. So the name here is hook AR. Okay, so it's going to be hook AR. And the next one is hook AB or hook BR, lowercase b. There we go, point. So we can take these, merge those together. So now we have these 3 joints sitting on top of each other. Okay, let's delete that connection. Take this merge and then pipe that back into this merge. So now we have all of our joints together and the naming is correct. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. Now let's put down a rig doctor, initialize the transforms, put down a parent joints. Okay, let's open this up, the rig tree. Now this hook A and B, these are going to go right into the wrist pivot, pivot into rotate, and then the elbow rotate into the arm connect ball. Okay, cool. Let's jump back out. So now that we have our joints, we'll put down a skeleton mirror, change the token, R to L. Okay, so now we have all of our joints. We'll pack this. Let's use our name attribute. So we have a bunch of different pieces. We'll transfer the name in our shop. Okay, let's do a capture. Let's see, capture pack geometry. Geometry goes into the left, skeleton into the right. Okay, so here, to speed things up a little bit, we're going to capture by attribute. And we use the name attribute. But there's still a couple things that aren't captured properly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of use a combination of skinning by attribute and then some manual skinning. Now, one issue with this is that this packed geometry here, this shoulder joint, is the same name, shares the same name as this arm connect ball. But as you'll see, once I grab these 2 pieces and connect it to this arm connect ball joint, let me hit enter. Now you see that it's no longer, it's shaded opaque, right? Which means that it's no longer skinned. So when you use a capture by attribute, and then you do a manual skinning on top of that, you lose any attribute capture that you set up before. So that means that now I just have to manually go in and recapture this guy, which is easy. So I'll just hit shift, select, enter. So now everything is captured over there. So on the other side, I'll do the same thing. I'll go 1, 2, 3, enter. Get that shoulder joint, and now it's captured. As always, let's put down a bone to form and get our joints. Let's see, let's do this. Skeleton, let's put these into here. Put down a rig pose. And let's double check and see how this is looking. Okay, looks good. Let's check our hook joints. Let's check the wrist pivot first. Let's see, so that's looking good. Let's get our hook joints. Let me see. All right, so let's hook A and then B. All right, that's looking good. So our arms are ready. So as always, let's take our captured geometry. Let's put that in the middle there. Put that down there. And the skeleton. All right, I'm going to try and keep things consistent because On the other pieces, I have the geo on the left and the skeleton on the right. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. We'll put that to the side. So call this arms skinned geo, and then arms skeleton. Let's try that one more time. Skeleton, black and round. All right. So now we have our arm. So I'm just going to do one last thing here before we get into Apex. And that's organize the scene a little bit further. I'm not a big fan of a bunch of wires traveling long distances. So I'm going to use some object merges just to kind of clean things up a little bit. So I'm going to slice all those. And I'm going to put down a few object merges. So 4 for each part. So we'll make the geometry blue and round, and the skeleton yellow and round. So select the geometry. So I'm just copying and pasting these, just dragging that up right into there. All right, select these 4, slide, boom. And connect them into there. Do the same thing here. So with that selected, we'll drag in the head, the waist, the arms, and the spine. Okay, so we'll grab all of these skeleton nodes, throw those there. Hang on, 1, 2, 3. I want the ties to go in order. There we go. Boom. There. There we go. Things are just a little bit more pleasing to look at now. So let's go in and name these merges. Call this head in, waist in, arms in, spine in. Head scale in, waist scale in, arms scale in, spine scale in. All right, last step here. Let's parent this arm connect joint to our shoulders. Let's open up the rig tree, drop down the spine, past the head. So arm connect ball to shoulder L, arm connect ball R to shoulder R. Great. So that's looking good. Last thing I need to do here, I need to make sure that in our capture pack geo, that we unpack everything so that we get our shader back. Very cool. So this is ready to go. Let's actually open up this rig pose here, the bone to form, and we'll just do a little bit more troubleshooting, have some fun with this. So this is ready for Apex rigging. In the next video, we'll go ahead and start with rigging in Apex.